Hey guys, Matt from EBMX here. We've had a lot of questions come through from you guys about some of the high-end bikes that we sell. So I've got a review I'm going to do on 3 of the top-of-the-range E Motos. So we've got a CZEM Drill 1, we've got a fully modified Sur Ron Light B, and we've got a 14 kilowatt Boxxbike Valkyrie. So we're going to run through a handful of tests with these bikes and try to sort of pair them up against each other the best we can. If you guys have any questions and this video doesn't answer them, leave a comment in the video and we'll get back to you guys. Thanks. So the first test that we were doing was power delivery. And in my opinion, the Boxxbike here, it's running 14 kilowatts, it's got a domino throttle, and out of all 3 of the bikes, just the way the tuning is done on this motor, combined with the drivetrain, it's got a really small chain compared to the rest of them that's super high strength. It's off of a go-kart, and it's just extremely quiet as well. But the way the power is done on this bike is super manageable. There's 4 different power modes for using the throttle. Each one is progressively ramped up stronger and stronger, which gets easy to find a good ride position, and there's just plenty of power. In the top modes, this thing will throw you off the bike if you give it full throttle. But it's absolute blast, and there's always plenty of power there. It's super smooth to ride. Second place bike for this category is the modified Sur Ron. This bike is nearly nothing like what a stock Sur Ron is. Right now this is running 15 kilowatts. The tune is done by Bruno Power, and it is absolutely brutal. This thing is pulling about 800 phase amps and is insane to ride. It's set up with 9 different power modes at the moment, and off-road I think I don't normally get out of mode 3 because it's just too much to handle, but a tremendous amount of fun. Can be a bit much, a bit hard hitting at times, but you can just set it down into a lower mode and it goes really well from there. Drill 1 comes in last on the power delivery. For just a couple reasons for me. At high speeds, high power, it's absolutely plentiful in the power range. It's about 15 kilowatts, and the sort of the high-end, high-speed is really good, but the low speed and low torque riding can be improved upon, I think. We're working with the guys at CZEM, and I know we're going to have a play around with how the tuning is done. I guess luckily on all these bikes and E-Motos in general, it's really nice to know that the whole bike's dynamics and power can be changed by just playing around with the motor controller rather than a gas engine where you've got to actually make some serious modifications. So I think once we get a few bugs worked out for why it's just a little slow down low, this thing will definitely be in a different position on this test. It's a really good bike to ride. The second test we were looking at is the suspension setup on these bikes. So for me, the modified Sur Ron takes the cake on this one. I guess luckily I was able to sort of put whatever suspension I wanted on this bike when I was modifying it, so that's probably why I really like it. But it's got a Marzocchi Bomber 58 front fork, and it's got a RockShox Vivid rear coil. And the combination of suspension is amazing. It's super plush through the whole range. It puts up with jumps really well. Hard to bottom it out when it's set up right, and over the quick sort of bumpy stuff, it's super responsive. Plenty of tuning. I didn't go with a Fox 40 because I felt like the Bomber was enough tuning for me. I didn't need high and low speed. It was sort of a good middle ground. But the stock suspension that's on Sur Rons, in my opinion, is pretty hideous. It does not put up with any sort of extreme riding. It's definitely an upgrade that needs to be done on these bikes. But the way this one's set up now, really good to ride. The Drill 1 comes in second. But I'm quite impressed with the way that CZEM has set the drill up. It's got an Elka rear shock, Manitou Dorado front fork, and they work really well. Like, as a stock offering for a bike, I'm really happy that they went with pretty high-end componentry, because there's just one more thing then you don't have to worry about replacing. I think the drill has really done well in just putting together a full sort of performance bike from the get-go, that you really don't need to modify anything. You can hop on and ride this thing hard. It goes really well. The suspension it's a bit harder and a little more harsh than the setup on the Sur Ron. Performs nearly as well off-road, just the feel of it is a little more firm. when it's sort of set up to be able to take the sort of big hits and drops that I like to ride on. But yeah, overall suspension setup is really good on this bike. The Boxxbike, my opinion, comes in last on this one. I was pleasantly surprised with the Suntour Rux 38 front forks. I thought they were just gonna be sort of flimsy. I thought they might not have a good feel, but they're really quite a plush fork. They do a really good job. However, the rear was a DNM coil, and as it was set up stock, it had a 450-pound spring. And just literally with my weight sitting on the bike, if you want to sag at about 20%, this thing was probably 60, 70, maybe even 80% sag. It was just nearly bottomed out. I put in a 600-pound rear spring from RockShox. It's definitely helped firm it up some, but it probably could even go more firm. So just in the fact that I had to play around with this one from the stock configuration, and the rear still is a bit soft, is why this one's sitting where it is in the test. The next thing that we were looking at was wheels and tires, and the drill one definitely walked away with the win in this category. The stock offering that I got on the drill is a really great setup. So there's 3 options on the drill ones. You can get a 1919 front rear, you can get a 2119, which is what I have here. You can also get a 1916 rear. And the 1916 rear is really nice. You get a fat tire in the rear. I know that Drill is working on getting a bit of a change done to the rear triangle to give an option of a wider rear 19, and I'll be looking forward to that when that comes in one of the future iterations of the bike. But as it is, these wheels are super beefy. Out of all 3 of these bikes, by far the beefiest wheels. They're Excel rims, they're full-on motocross spokes, and these things are just bulletproof. So it's just one of those things to be nice to not have to worry about when you're out riding, that the wheels might start coming apart on you. I've never even had a loose spoke on this and done a lot of hard off-road riding. On the front wheel, I'm running a 80-121, and on the rear wheel, we've got a 70-119. So yeah, really good combination, really happy with these, not a single issue at all. The second option here, I thought that was pretty good, was what I've gotten for the Sur Ron. So these are a set of wheels from Wicked Wheelworks in the States. These are, again, Excel rims, a little bit lower spec than what's on the drill, and a bit smaller spokes as well. So a little bit of a weight saving, but in my opinion, when you got this much power and these sort of weights in these bikes, just getting a beefier wheel set is definitely worth it. I don't really care that they're heavier. I just want them to be stronger. These have come a little bit loose over time. I have to keep an eye on them and sort of tighten them here and there. Well, they have put up with a lot of really hard riding, and they've done quite well. So same size front tire. I've got a 21 front and a 19 rear on here. Same size front as the drill, the 80-121. And on the rear, on the rear here, I've got a Michelin Starcross 5, which is a really great tire. I love this thing, and it's a 190-19. I had to do just a tiny bit of trimming on the right side on the nubs to get it to fit in with the chain here. I know there's some options now to extend swing arms and stuff. The best option would be really just go with an 18 rear, and then you can fit on a full-on 100 wide tire. That would really be the best thing, but this is what I had to work with, so that's what I've done. Been out riding it quite a bit now, and really love having a fat tire on the rear there. The last place here, although it's kind of a different category as well, is the Boxxbike. So Boxxbike's running mountain bike wheels, so they're 27.5-inch rims, mountain bike tires, sort of mid-range on the rim quality. There's been a few issues with broken spokes, loose spokes, but again, they are a mountain bike product, whereas we're sort of a lot closer to motorcycles on these other 2. And this is a lot closer to a mountain bike than these other 2 as well. But yeah, I just think that we could probably, because of the weight of this bike, we could probably get a little beefier wheel set, and it definitely wouldn't hurt anything. So looking at the overall stealth factor of these bikes, the Boxxbike definitely takes the win there. When you're riding this thing around, people often think that you're riding just a big mountain bike. If they know what they're looking at, they think you're riding an electric mountain bike. and nobody knows that when they think you're riding a 250 watt bike, you're riding one with 14,000 watts. So you're over 50 times more powerful than your normal pedal assist bike, and you have a throttle. So no question, this thing walks away with the win. The combination of this go-kart chain that's on there, and then you've got a separate drivetrain chain for your mountain bike shifter on the other side. It nearly makes no noise when it rolls, super quiet, super stealthy, as well as if you're on the road or going anywhere else, you can be pedaling along and it just looks like you're pedaling your bike. So if you want to blend in, not stick out with what you're doing, take it on the trails or wherever, the Boxxbike is hands down the winner on the stealthy factor there. These other two, pretty close in between them. There's no kidding around what they are. They're definitely like a miniature motorcycle. They've got foot pegs, they've got dirt bike tires, and they definitely look like dirt bikes. Noise-wise, the Sur Ron is just slightly quieter than the drill. It's got a belt drive reduction here, and then obviously the chain on the other side, whereas the drill has got a chain reduction gearing. It's a little noisier than the belt. It has to be tightened up every now and then, but like I think both of these sort of a tie for stealthy, and they don't sound like two-stroke or four-stroke. They're super quiet, and you definitely sneak up on people on the trails, so you might want to put a bell or something on there just to make sure you don't startle people. But they're kind of nowhere in the league of what the Boxxbike is, because they don't look like a bicycle, and they don't really sound like one either. Right, all important pricing on these bikes is definitely something people are interested in. Now, quite a few comments of people wanting these things to be cheaper, but like in the end of the day, you do get what you pay for. None of these bikes are cheap, but they're all extremely high performance bikes. And you know, if this is what you're in the market for, you're gonna have to pay for what you get, I guess, but you do get a lot with what you pay for. So the drill, in my opinion, it takes the win, just because the way it's put together as a stock offering is a really comprehensive bike. This thing has got everything you need. There's no modifications need to be done to get out and really hit the trails hard with this bike, and you don't have to be concerned with it falling apart anywhere as well. So the drill set up with this sort of configuration with these wheels, in Australian dollars is about $15,750, plus or minus a little bit depending whether you want a fast charger or where it needs to be shipped to. But yeah, just under $16,000 for the drill. I think it's actually a really good buy for what you're getting with this bike. Second place for me would be the Sur Ron. Now I know you can go out and you can buy an off-road Sur Ron for $6,000, but this one would cost you over $16,000 to build, so it's going to cost more than the drill. For me, over the last sort of year and a half, building this bike with COVID and everything else we've been dealing with was extremely hard to track down a lot of the parts. This bike has got a new battery, so it's got a Lightspeed 72 volt battery. It's got an ASI BAC 8000 controller. Obviously new wheels, new suspension, new handlebars, new foot pegs, new mud guards. Essentially the only thing stock with this bike is the frame and the motor. Everything else has been replaced. I think that Sur Ron's done a great job on the frame and the motor, but like if you want to ride these things hard, you really need to start changing things around. And if you want to get a bike that's just from the factory, ready to go with a warranty and everything, you're going to go with the drill. If you want to play around and have a project to do, you can get a Sur Ron. It's definitely a fun project, but it can take sometimes a lot of time, and definitely it gets quite expensive upgrading all these components individually. But again, you do wind up with a really cool product in the end of the day. But I think the comprehensiveness of the drill one takes the win. And sort of sitting down at the bottom for me at the moment is the pricing on the Boxxbike. Really cool bike, really capable bike, nice sort of lightweight compared with the other bikes, but the pricing is up there as well. So the Boxxbikes for the 14 kilowatt models in Australia are sort of plus or minus $20,000. They come with a little bit maybe different setup on some of the suspension. There's a few options. It's just sort of dependent on what is available in the world when they're trying to build these. Yeah, it is quite expensive compared to the other two bikes. But if it's what you're after, having a pedal bike, having something super stealthy, and having something that's got an extremely powerful, well-tuned 14 kilowatt motor, then this is the bike for you. Again, tremendous amount of fun, but you definitely pay for it with the Boxxbike. All right, a few sort of more comments in closing here, guys. Another question we get is how long can you ride these bikes? And that's a hard question to answer. It really is down to how you're riding the bikes. So the Sur Ron and the Drill 1, I've been out for 2.5 hours on these bikes riding, sort of cruising along in the mid-power modes, on trails that are technical, just taking my time, having fun. I've also managed to blow through these batteries in, just around an hour's time. It really depends how fast you're riding, what sort of course you're riding on. If you have it in the highest power mode and you've got your throttle pinned back the whole time, you're going to be burning through the battery. But you don't really get that many opportunities to do that, especially if you're riding in the woods and on technical tracks. So it's never been an issue for me. I find an hour and a half, sort of 2 hours, that's a pretty good ride, and I'm absolutely tuckered by the end of it. So for me, that's fine. The Boxxbike's got a little bit less range. It's obviously a little bit of a lighter bike. The Boxxbike's weighing in at just under 40 kilos, at 39.8 when I weighed it. The Drill 1 was weighing in at 57.5 kilos, and I weighed the Sur Ron in here, and it weighed in at 62 kilos. So pretty good weight difference between the bikes there. You can definitely feel it on the Boxxbike. The Boxxbike feels a lot lighter and more nimble, a lot more like a mountain bike. Obviously, it's got the pedals and everything there as well. The range on the Boxxbike, it'd probably knock off 45 minutes or so to these other bikes, depending on the terrain you're riding in. But again, plenty enough range, and you've also got a set of gears and pedals there. If you ever got yourself stuck, you just pedal your way to get to your vehicle or to get home, and that's really not a problem. I don't think I can really pick one of these bikes that I would choose over another unless I really had a specific ride I was going to go on. They're really all really good at what they do and in different things. So, in my opinion, riding the Boxxbike, I have a lot of fun, sort of being stealthy, not being seen, taking it places that I might not take a sort of more of a moto, and nobody ever seems to have a problem with it. Whereas the Drill 1 and the Sur Ron, I have a lot of fun on those out on the moto trails and stuff, and just getting around to all the sort of tight, gnarly sort of tracks, whether it's going up or going down. Both bikes do a really great job. I think the main difference for me with these two is that you've got one that's a stock bike, set up really, really great from the factory. The other one's a project bike, comparable sort of levels of performance, but just a different way of doing it. So if you want a project bike, get a Sur Ron, and we can help you guys with all the controllers. We've got Bruno Power doing the tunes on these things, and we can set you up with all the power you need. If you want something that's got a factory warranty, that's good out of the box, go ahead and get yourself a Drill 1. And if you want something super stealthy, if you're more of a mountain biker, you're used to the pedal platform, the Boxxbike might be the one for you. So, look, I hope you guys got a bit out of this video. If you have any questions, like I said, just throw a comment there, and we'll come back to you.